Ultra Street Fighter 2 on the Nintendo Switch. I don't think I've seen a Switch game so controversial. So many arguments and debates going online. It's worth the $40. It's not worth the $40. So, I got a review for you. I didn't manage to snag a review code from Nintendo because I inquired about it too late. But here's my review of Ultra Street Fighter 2, The Final Challengers. The story. What story? There's a story in Street Fighter 2? Yeah, there kind of is. If you've played Street Fighter 2, you know how the story goes. You go through arcade mode after your big gauntlet of opponents again and again and again and again and again. You get a little cutscene for about a minute to get a little bit of character background, but no story. If you're into fighting games with stories, this is not your game. Now, Ultra Street Fighter 2 is a 2D fighting game, but it's got some 3D elements in the mix as well. It's basically the newest remaster and updated version of Street Fighter 2, which came out way back when. The biggest question here, the game costs $40. Street Fighter 2 Turbo HD Remix on the PlayStation 3 and Xbox 360 cost about $10. But on the PSN Capcom sale this week, it's only $2.49. So what do I get in Ultra Street Fighter 2 that I do not get in Turbo HD Remix? You get two new characters, Evil Ryu and Violent Ken. You get a gallery that has a digital copy of Street Fighter artwork Supremacy, only released in Japan and is now currently out of print. And you have the Way of the Hado game mode, the first-person 3D graphics motion control battle where you can use the Joy-Cons to do a real-life Hadouken. So it really begs the question, is that worth the extra $30? Well, that's up to you. Let's talk about the game itself. There are a lot of different game modes you can go through. Actually, there's about 12 across all of the different game modes, all the different option modes, the color edit that lets you select your own color palettes, going through the gallery, looking at your player stats. But put simply, there's arcade mode, multiplayer, training mode, and Way of the Hado. Arcade mode lets you go through a gauntlet of battles to basically win the game. There's local and online multiplayer. Training lets you go in against a motionless CPU to test your combos and practice. And Way of the Hado is the new first-person mode. But the big focus here needs to be the Way of the Hado game mode. It's motion control only. You hold the Joy-Cons out, and you use the motion controls to perform special moves, like special kicks or the Hadouken. Do note that the motion controls are the only way to use this game mode. If you have it in handheld mode, it won't even let you open the Way of the Hado game mode. Now, the actual game mode is really neat. You have all these enemies that appear in front of you, and you use the motion controls to attack them. If you remember the first-person mode in Dead or Alive 5 Plus on the PlayStation Vita, it's like that, but there's also a flaw here. As great as the motion control novelty is, some of the moves don't register. I'll be doing motion controls for a kick, and I'll do the exact same motion at the exact same place in front of me 3 or 4 times, and it'll only register once. So that's a pretty big flaw to a motion control only game mode. It's really cool, but they really need to patch and work on the recognition in the game. Now, all the other game modes are what you're already used to. 2D arenas, 2D fights. You use the 4 face buttons to do punch and kick combos, and there's a pretty big difficulty curve here. If you're a serious fan of Street Fighter, you know how to play Street Fighter. If you're not a Street Fighter fan, prepare for a massive learning curve. Learning all of your combos for even a single character could take you hours and hours to get decent. Or you could just switch controller mode to light, and you can direct supers to the face buttons or the touchscreen. So you don't even have to have skill. You can just hit square to do Hadouken over and over and over and over and over again. It's a pretty major handicap. This isn't the first time Capcom has done a handicap in a handheld version of a fighting game. Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom 3 on the PlayStation Vita had instant combos where you could just tap the touchscreen over and over and over again, and you would instantly do combos. But instantly doing combos and instantly doing supers is pretty different. I think it's too much of a handicap, especially since you're allowed to use this control mode when you do competitive play online. Now, since we talked about difficulty, how long is the game? And that's really hard to say. There's no real sense of unlocking content outside of little titles to put on your online profile. At least in games like Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, you had all of these kart mods that you could unlock as you played through all of the Grand Prix modes. You have titles here, so there's no real sense of unlocking content. You've got everything from the get-go. Now, if you really want to put a number to that, one arcade run could take you maybe an hour, a little over an hour, depending on how many rounds you do per fight and how good you are. Then again, you could just turn on map supers to the touchscreen, go in easy mode, and you can have it done in probably about 50 minutes. It's not very long. It's gameplay based, and it's really focused on you doing gameplay, doing multiplayer. Now, presentation. The game does look really nice. First of all, the 3D game mode, Way of the Hotto, looks beautiful, and it really kind of put an idea in my mind. If they could make something look this good, why didn't they just port a 3D Street Fighter and then just add the first-person mode like Team Ninja did with Dead or Alive 5 Plus on the PlayStation Vita? I'm not complaining about getting Street Fighter 2, it's a great game. As far as the 2D visuals are concerned, you got two graphic styles. You've got remaster visuals that look beautiful, smoothed out, very vibrant and colorful, and you've got the original graphic style if you're a retro fan. You can swap them back and forth, and no real performance issues. Online matches are stable, never any FPS drops, load times are nice and short. I mean, it's optimized incredibly well, as you'd expect given the age of Street Fighter 2. Now let's talk about battery life. This is mostly a 2D game after all, so I had high hopes for battery life. Here are the times I got from 100% to 0%. Maximum brightness with the Wi-Fi on, 4 hours and 9 minutes. Maximum brightness with the Wi-Fi off, 4 hours and 15 minutes. Low brightness with the Wi-Fi on, 5 hours and 33 minutes. Low brightness with the Wi-Fi off, 5 hours and 41 minutes. The 4 to 5 hour range is really starting to become the norm with me testing these games over and over and over again. So many games are popping into that 4 to 5 hour range outside of the 6 to 7 hour range that Disgaea 5 had and the 2 to 3 hour range that Zelda had. In other words, you're going to get a good 4 to 5 to 6 hours of battery life out of this game. In conclusion, Ultra Street Fighter 2 is a nice remaster for fans of the original game. Now, the main problems are the fact that the motion controls don't work half the time, there's a lack of longevity as far as unlocking content, and the excessive handicap with the alternate control styles is, well, excessive. It's a fun little fighter, it's a really great version of Street Fighter 2, but it really lacks the longevity to justify the $40 price tag. Reviews to Go rates Ultra Street Fighter 2, The Final Challengers, a 7 out of 10. If you'd like to comment on this further, feel free to below, or head to the website at www.reviewstogo.com.